Paul Skenes might get $500 million. Mariners get bad news. Braves' newest star, MLB recap. Paul Skenes is adding a real changeup, and it's changing everything. There's a contract question that makes people swallow hard. $400 million, $500 million, maybe even more. A 17 to 18 pitch showdown at the plate turns into a mini movie. Atlanta's newest face behind the dish looks like a star already. Seattle wins again, but walks away with nerves jangling and some bad vibes to address. Oakland keeps stacking quiet, promising days that hint at a serious future just in time for a new city. And to close it out, he promises live baseball later and a little immaculate grid brain teaser for dessert. It's an MLB recap with bite, built to carry viewers all the way to the end. He starts with Skenes because it's impossible not to. The kid gave up a career-high 7 hits and still blanked Cincinnati. That sentence alone tells the story. Even on a B day, he looked like an A-plus weapon. 6 scoreless innings, no walks, 8 strikeouts, and a fastball painted at 99 when he needed it most. The difference now is the pitch he learned in the offseason and during spring. He worked on a changeup for months, then barely used it first. Trust takes time even when the arm is this special. Now he's leaning into it, pairing late tumble with that top-of-the-zone heat, and hitters are guessing at air. Cincinnati never settled in. He used the changeup as a mirror trick, showing speed and then stealing it, making the Reds' big swings show up early. When the lineup turned over, his plan got even clearer. The change lived at the knees and under, the heater lived up and on the edges, and slider stayed mean when right-handers started selling out on the 4-seam. He finished one of those innings by blowing away Ellie de la Cruz for strikeout number 8, the kind of moment that brings the camera in tight and makes everyone watching lean forward. It was power plus touch, and he kept the ball off the barrel when it mattered. Pittsburgh's lineup did its part. Brian Reynolds stayed smooth and violent in the same swing, launching his 11th home run to give Skenes room to breathe. Jared Triolo followed with a 2-run single that, thanks to some chaos, turned into extra bases without being a double on the card. It wasn't perfect defense, but it was pressure, and it kept the Red from feeling like one swing would tie things up. Brian Hayes pulled a standing ovation with a little edge mixed in. Cheers spiked with a few boos from fans still stuck on the contract and the slumps. He ripped a rocket single. It didn't flip the game, but it changed the temperature for a minute. Then there's Henry Davis. The average isn't pretty, and the on-base isn't loud yet. But the bat speed is real, and the jumps behind the plate look crisp. His pop time looks fast enough to matter, and his throws have life. When young pitching gets help from young catching, that's how a franchise starts building a lane. The Pirates took all of it. Skenes zeros, a steady drum of base hits, and some good catching to a 7-0 finish. From the broadcast booth to the comments section, the bigger picture started to form. Skenes just became the youngest starting pitcher ever to go 5 straight home starts without allowing a run. That's 27 2/3 scoreless innings at home in a row. His season ERA sits at 1.94, and it does not look inflated by luck. Over the first 47 starts of his big league career, he owns a 1.95 ERA, 332 strikeouts, and 277 innings. Year 1 brought a Rookie of the Year, a start in the All-Star game, and this year brought another All-Star nod. With Zach Wheeler stumbling in a few of his recent outings, Skenes feels like the pitcher other pitchers are chasing in the Cy Young race. He's been given 3 runs of support in a game 14 times and never lost. He's turning that kind of small cushion into a sure thing. So the show slides into the question that scares every small market fan. How much does it take to keep him? He's 23. His body looks built to handle work. The mechanics are clean enough to trust. The attitude is competitive without being chaotic. $500 million stopped sounding like a punchline and started sounding like a floor when viewers did the math on age plus awards plus dominance. Before the season, he said there hadn't even been a conversation about an extension. That's believable, and it's also the kind of sentence that keeps Pirates fans up at night. The owner's reputation does not help. Everyone knows the jokes about counting pennies at the big table. The host frowns and leans on experience here. If a franchise has a single asset that defines its next 10 years, the only 2 real choices are extend or accept a future trade and live with the pain. A homegrown ace with awards, ratings, sellouts, and national pull is not just a player. He's a blueprint. A long deal could be shaped with opt-outs and escalators, front-loaded or with heavy deferrals, but it would be huge no matter the structure. 14 years? 12 with options? If the price lands, the number might begin with a 5. No one loves the risk on the back end of a mega deal, but teams do it for a reason. A decade of elite pitching is worth almost anything. He stresses the logic as simply as possible. If the pitcher is this good this young, a club either sets the market now or watches the market run away later. Every win Skenes stacks makes the check bigger. Every home shutout streak makes a negotiation harder. Pittsburgh has to decide if it wants to be bold or be remembered for explaining why bold was too hard at the time. The crowd knows which version they prefer. The recap pivots to the Pacific Northwest, where the Mariners keep winning, but good news on the scoreboard comes with bad news under the hood. Seattle swept the White Sox, but not without cold sweat. Logan Gilbert came out throwing darts and stacked 5 strikeouts in the first 3 frames. Then the game tilted and the edges frayed. A veteran outfielder, 34 and still springy, took Gilbert deep. The White Sox found 2 runs, then a third on a wild pitch. Brooks Baldwin lifted a ball that carried out and tied things. It felt like a day that should have been routine, suddenly stuck in the mud. The late innings turned scrappy. Seattle's defense held just enough. The White Sox defense didn't. An ugly misplay turned into a gift that pushed the game into extras. In the 11th, Dom Canzoni delivered the swing that sent Eugenio hustling home. A clean run that completed a sweep and 4 straight wins. That one put Seattle only a game and a half behind Houston in the division. That's the good part, the part that plays well in highlights and standings graphics. The bad news is what the host points to as the camera lingers on the bullpen door and the infield meetings. Seattle nearly kicked this one away. The margin for error at the top of the West is razor thin, and the Astros are not going to hand anyone anything. A team with October in mind can't let a light-hitting opponent breathe, not if the plan is to leapfrog a first-place club. He talks about the little cracks, free bases, a pitch spiked at the wrong time, an approach that turned timid in the 7th, then overamped in the 8th. It's not doom, it's a warning. The win streak looks nice. The process needs tightening. He slips in a quick injury note from around the league because it hung over highlights earlier in the day, an everyday bat on another club feeling that familiar shoulder sting that hitters hate. The reminder is simple. One bad swing can change a month. The message for Seattle is even simpler. Stack clean innings now, before the schedule turns mean. The standings will reward results, not vibes. From there, the show jumps to Atlanta, where the franchise that can't stop producing Rookie of the Year candidates might have found the next one. Drake Baldwin does not look fazed by big league velocity. He caught 98 inside, like it was just another fastball in a Tuesday practice, and then started doing damage. The numbers already look loud. 13 home runs and a 135 OPS plus, and those are the kind of digits that make people recalibrate what's realistic for a rookie catcher. He put it all on display in a single game. The first blast traveled over 420 feet. The second came later and broke a different part of the box score. 3 runs, then more traffic, then another big swing to tie the game. 5 runs batted in by a first-year backstop is headline territory, and he carried himself like someone who expects to be in that headline again. The comeback needed a little help, the kind of wild throw you almost never see from a defender with 10 outs above average on the year. But baseball never promises perfect symmetry. A bounce is a bounce, a window is a window, and Atlanta walked through it. Raisel Iglesias finished the day by recording his 15th save. And in a moment that has Braves fans split, the host notes the weirdness. The team keeps winning with players some fans think shouldn't still be on the roster. The debate about who earns a uniform never ends in a city that expects banners. But the scoreboard doesn't grade morals, it grades runs. Atlanta was sub-.500 and deep in frustration not long ago. Now, with a young catcher cutting through noise like a blade, there's a different tone. Baldwin might be the next name added to a list that already includes Ronald Acuna Jr. and Michael Harris. Homegrown impact. Quick. The camera swings west again, this time to Oakland, where a better-than-expected 2-week run is paired with something bigger. A picture of 2026 and beyond. The A's have gone 9-4 since July 24th. The lineups look raw, but the defense at shortstop tightens when Daryl Hernandez plays. He's simply better there, which forces other pieces into more natural spots and calms the whole diamond down. Cody Thomas shows the kind of AAA power that matters. 18 home runs in 82 games is not an accident. When a player like that reaches base in the bigs and the team squeezes a run home with a sacrifice fly, it looks ordinary, but stacked over a summer, it starts to resemble a plan. He struck out 10, hit every quadrant with a small army of pitches, fastball, changeup, cutter, slider, sink, and talk about for a week. Nathaniel Lowe fought, and fought, and fought. 17 pitches, maybe 18 depending on how scorekeepers count a foul tick and a slight pause. Throwing from a young arm, cleaner shortstop play, and runs that come from contact and pressure rather than miracles. It starts to look like a core. And with a move to Las Vegas coming, the timeline suddenly makes sense. If the front office hits on 2 or 3 more pieces the way they seem to be hitting now, 2026 won't be a marketing slogan. It will be a real window. The host loves the long at-bat, so he circles back to celebrate it. Fans love homers. Pitchers live on grounders and whiffs. But there's something primal about a hitter turning into a wall and a pitcher turning into a locksmith. 17 pitches is a chess match stretched out until both players sweat. The viewer can feel time stretch, the stadium sound swell with each foul. The pitcher's face go from calm to tight to calm again, ending that fight with a soft knee change that looks like a strike at the belt and finishes at the shins is a flex without the scream. That's how you build believers, one batter at a time. After the games, the show takes a quick lap around the stat leaderboards because the numbers tell a second story. Aaron Judge leads the league in average at .339, with Jeremy Pena sitting second at .324 and Jacob Wilson still hanging in fourth at .312. Pitching wins won't settle modern debates, but they still live on the page. Garrett Crochet and Freddie Peralta both at 13, Max Fried at 12, and a group that includes Tarek Skubal and Framber Valdez at 11. The home run race belongs to a catcher nicknamed Cal at 42, with Kyle Schwarber right behind at 40 and Shohei Ohtani behind him at 39. Skenes' 1.94 ERA sets the bar, with Skubal providing the closest chase at 2.18. Run producers have their own board. Schwarber drives at 94. Pete Alonso's at 91. Another big swinging bat sits at 90. Judge lurks at 85, which sounds like just behind, until anyone remembers how fast he can stack a week of multi-hit days and a couple of long balls. Closers? Robert Suarez has 32 saves, for more than anyone else, with Carlos Estevez and Josh Hader sharing the next rung at 28. Contact monsters show up too. Bo Bichette sits at 145 hits, a dozen clear of second place, with Manny Machado and Tree Turner in the rear view, but not quite on his bumper. Strikeouts are a fist fight. Crochet's at 183, one ahead of Wheeler and two ahead of Skubal. On the bases, a speedster who has been quietly stealing all year sits at 35, just ahead of O'Neal Cruz and those comically long strides that eat dirt in 4 steps. Quality starts, 6 innings, 3 earned or fewer, show the table setters of every rotation. Wheeler, Valdez, Logan Webb, and Brian Wu, all at 16. Standings time is where the recap turns into a map. In the AL East, Toronto holds a 4-game lead over Boston, with the Yankees 6.5 back and doing math about series they can't afford to lose. The AL Central shows Detroit up 6 on Cleveland, despite the Guardians stringing together 3 straight wins to climb back over .500. Out west, Houston holds a slim 1.5-game lead over those steady, imperfect, dangerous Mariners. That race feels like the kind that flips on one bad week in late August. The National League stretches out differently. In the East, Philadelphia stands 2.5 ahead of the Mets, and both clubs are trending the wrong direction at the same time. The Central feels familiar. Milwaukee up 4 on the Cubs, the Reds falling 11 back and staring at the wild card with the kind of squint that says, we need a sprint. Out west, the Dodgers lead, but the Padres are only 2 games behind. No one in that division should get comfortable. It never stays quiet for long. Wild cards at Spice. In the American League right now, Boston, Seattle, and New York would all be in if the season ended today. But Cleveland and Texas sit just a game and a half back. Kansas City and Tampa Bay are within 4.5. The Angels and Twins are trying to hang on to the rope and pull themselves forward. One 5-game swing could flip that entire column. In the National League, the Cubs, Padres, and Mets hold the chairs. The Reds sit 3.5 behind. The Giants are 5 back. The Cardinals at 5.5, the Marlins at 6.5, and then the Diamondbacks at 9 all still have spark, but the clock gets a little louder with each series. Some clubs won't catch a break. Some will catch a heater and make everyone nervous. He turns the energy down for a minute to talk about how nights like this build legends. A young ace turning 7 scattered hits into a shutout frame line. A rookie catcher announcing himself with swings that shift a game in a month. A team with October hopes winning in extras, but walking away uneasy because it knows where the screws need tightening. A rebuilding club discovering that rebuilds don't have to be lifeless. They can be messy and exciting at the same time if the right prospects sharpen at the right moment. Seasons are made of these days. Years from now, fans will misremember what came first and what came last, but they'll remember how nights like these felt. He also doesn't let the Cy Young talk get too loud too early. Baseball has a way of humbling everyone. Zach Wheeler might spin 7 dominant innings in his next start and change the story again. Tarek Skubal might run off 3 straight starts with double-digit strikeouts and park himself on Skenes' shoulder in the voting. But right now, with a home shutout streak, no one his age has ever done, and a changeup that looks like a cheat code on the days when the fastball tunnel is perfect, Skenes owns the conversation. That's fair. There's a quick return to Seattle's bad news point to keep it honest. Winning 4 straight is real. Nearly coughing up a game at home to a team trying to figure itself out is also real. The bullpen needs strike one more often. The defense needs a little more calm when the balls start hopping. The at-bats with runners on third and less than 2 outs need to look like plans, not wishes. If those things tighten, that 1.5 game gap shrinks. If they don't, the standings won't move the way the city wants. Atlanta's piece ends on the optimism a franchise earns when it graduates talent. Baldwin fits the Braves pattern. A player who looks ordinary in spring becomes a problem by midsummer. When the bat pass stays short and the decisions stay mature, pitchers stop treating a rookie like a rookie. The show nods at the clubhouse dynamic too. Veterans respect catchers who control the heartbeat of a game. When a young catcher catches heat inside without flinching, guides a pitcher through a jam, and then takes a pitch 420 feet, he doesn't just gain fans, he gains a staff. Oakland gets one more spotlight because fans of long rebuilds deserve a little light. The A's are not pretending this is 100 wins and a title chase. They're doing something maybe more important right now, building habits that travel. Pitchers who live at the knees, hitters who understand counts, infielders who make the routine look boring, outfielders who set their feet and throw to the right bag, coaches who keep young arms in the zone and young legs in the lineup. If the front office keeps leaning into players like Hernandez, Thomas, Soderstrom, and Lopez, the Vegas debut might come with a group that looks more ready than anyone expected 6 months ago. With the day's games wrapped, the host brings back a fan favorite, a quick, immaculate grid round. He goes old school by instinct. Tigers and White Sox? Malio Ordonez clears the square. Nationals and Tigers? Jordan Zimmerman gets a nod, and that one feels sneaky good. All-Star Tiger? Curtis Granderson, easy smile, easy pick. 10-plus wins with the White Sox? Mark Burrell, because that man lived in the strike zone and racked up seasons like clockwork. 10-plus wins in Washington? Steven Strasburg, with a whispered apology to Nats fans for memories that still sting. An all-star who had a 10-plus win season? Cliff Lee holds a special place in his heart, so that's the pick. The tricky square, Nationals and Twins, sticks for a beat until the face with a wide-eyed headshot pops into mind. Joey Gallo wore both uniforms, and the photo the grid used makes everyone laugh for reasons no one can really explain. Before the sign-off, he circles back to the shape of the night one last time. A $500 million question in Pittsburgh that feels less like a reach and more like reality. A contender in Seattle that needs to fix little things before they become big ones. A new star behind the plate in Atlanta, smashing fastballs and narratives at the same time. A rising group in Oakland stacking quiet nights that point to a loud future. A league where Aaron Judge, Jeremy Pena, and Jacob Wilson are carving up batting titles. Where Schwarber and Ohtani stalk a catcher with 40-plus bombs. Where Crochet, Wheeler, and Skubal are playing strikeout chicken. And where a closer in San Diego keeps slamming the door. He thanks the audience in his way, gratitude without sugarcoating. He knows how long some viewers have been riding along. He knows they push back when he's too high on a player or too low on a team, and he respects it. That back and forth is how the channel grew. He reminds everyone there's a live watch party later and a handful of MLB TV codes to give away for the rest of the season. No links, no spam, just a promise that if baseball is on, he'll be there with friends, talking through every pitch, every misplay, every masterpiece, and every did that just happen moment that keeps the sport addicting. The closing beat returns to the headline that started it all. Someone will ask if Paul Skenes is worth $500 million or more. The honest answer is simple and hard at the same time. If he keeps doing what he's doing, the market will tell everyone. He is 23. He's learned a changeup that makes big league hitters look like they're swinging underwater. He holds zeros at home like a superstitious ritual. He throws strikes that look like art. He makes teammates believe and opponents careful. Pittsburgh has a chance to make the kind of move that changes how the entire sport talks about the Pirates. There aren't many decisions in a decade that big. This is one. By the last sentence, the shape of the night is clear. A once-in-a-generation arm sharpening a new weapon. A contender that's great on paper, but needs cleaner execution in the 7th and 8th. A rookie catcher turning into a heartbeat. A rebuilding club that finally looks like a plan. League leaders that give the sport its running drama. And fans who still show up after work for box scores, brain teasers, and a host who lives in this game the way they do. It's another recap, another night, and another reason to keep the notifications on, because tomorrow's story might make today feel like a quiet prologue.